I am a life coach, and I'm really passionate about mental, emotional, and spiritual health. And today I want to talk to you about the most destructive and damaging force on earth, and that is shame. And the reason that I feel like it's the most destructive and damaging force is because of the results that come from that. And so I actually had started preparing to talk to you today about love. I was asked to kind of give a insight on love and my opinion of love. And I started down that journey and realized that shame is one of the things that blocks us from receiving and giving love. And so first thing I did was I looked up the definition. The definition of shame is a painful feeling of humiliation or distress caused by the consciousness of wrong or foolish behavior. So as you know, I'm really big into anything that causes you pain is probably not good for you. And so shame is definitely one of those things. And, as I looked at that definition, it's being aware, really being conscious that you've done something wrong or that something wrong or foolish is what it says. And those are behaviors. So what I want to challenge you with is the things that cause us shame in our life. Kind of the difference to me, like, we feel guilty about things. We do things wrong and we might say, dang it, I wish I wouldn't have done that. But shame is something that's very different because it basically becomes part of who we think we are. When we feel shame, it's not just something out there, it becomes something inside of us. For me, one of the things I started looking at is the I am statements. And not what I would say I am to anyone else, but what would I say I am to myself. And if you watch any of my videos, I talk a lot about who you are and figuring out your identity, because I believe that's what sets us free. But what I realized is shame is one of those things that attaches to us, or we grab onto, is probably closer to the truth. And we start to say, I am. Like, I posted something not too long ago, which I believe is absolutely true, that when a child is abused, they don't stop loving their parents. They don't stop loving the person that's abusing them. They stop loving themselves. And I believe that's a form of shame, that we believe that we are whatever it is. Like we believe that we are, a bad kid or disrespectful or whatever it is that, that maybe we're receiving abuse for. I started thinking about the I am statements, things that I had believed in my life, like I'm trailer trash, or I am, any of the wrong, bad things that we do, we tend to start to associate that with who we are. So I think that's why it's so destructive, because if you believe that you are things that make you feel bad, then you're going to think you are bad. And, I've known people who've had, struggles with all different kinds of things. Everything from, just telling a lie, just, little things that we did, even when we were kids, that we lied about something and it sticks with us. And we tend to think that's part of who we are. There's a million things. Masturbating is one of those things. Committing adultery, abortion, all these different things that we have. People in their lives have these things in their lives, and then they start to think, I am that. I am an adulteress. I am a liar. I am a, whatever it is. And I was thinking about this because it's a huge, to me, it really plays a part in how we live our lives. If we believe those things about ourselves, it's going to change the way we behave and the things that we bring into our life. I believe that shame absolutely blocks love. When we feel like we are bad people, we're dirty, we're bad, we're wrong, there's something wrong with us, then we block ourselves off from receiving love. We don't think we're worthy of receiving love. And when we do that, it shuts ourselves down even to receive it and to give it. And so I just want to challenge you today. If there are things in your life that you feel shame about, that and maybe it's just something that you think, well, I'm just feeling guilty about this. But when you're all by yourself and no one else is around, and do you look back and think, that's who I am. That's part of me. And if you might say, no, I don't have any of that stuff, great. But another way that I think it manifests itself is when we say, I'm just not like them, or I just don't fit with that group, or I'm just not, like other people. I've been on the outside many times looking at other people and thinking I'm not like them, I don't fit in with them. And sometimes, I'll get to know some of the people in those different groups. I became very religious when I was 20 years old. My first husband was killed in a car accident, and when that happened, I really started searching, what life was about and why we were here. And I became very religious, and religion is one of those places that uses shame a lot. And maybe it was just me interpreting the things because of where I'd come from, but definitely think shame is part of that. But anyway, I remember attending church for the first time, and I had all this list of things that had happened in my life, things that I was embarrassed and ashamed about. And I walked into that church and thought, I'm not like any of these people. And as I got to know them individually over the course of 17 years, I found out, what? They have those same hidden dark things that I do. We all have things that we're ashamed of, that we wish weren't there, that we think, change our value and our identity. And so, I just wanted to present that. I know this is kind of a heavy topic, but the reason that I wanted to bring this out is because I want you to see that those things are not who you are. And until you see that, until you recognize, man, this thing hurts, so that means it's not you. It means it's something that, violated. Probably you betrayed yourself in some way. It violated something in you, or someone else did, because that, that's how my journey began, was, outside things came that made me feel dirty, that made me feel like I was bad. And then because I believed that about myself, that's how I lived my life. But now, I think for the first time in, all my life, I see those things as outside of me. There is a person inside of each one of us, a soul, a heart, a spirit. We are designed and created uniquely and individually. And all of these things that are happening outside of us, the things that, even happen to us, those kind of things, they don't define who we are. We are the person that those things are happening to, or that, is experiencing these things, but that doesn't define us. And I don't know if that makes sense to you, but I really think, as you ponder who you are, you'll see that, you're that you're a person besides the things that you do, besides what you look like, besides, the actions that you take. And I hope that in doing that, the truth of who we are will really set us free. And whenever something comes in, that we feel shame over, I hope that you'll challenge that. And I know Brene Brown talks about this. She's actually a shame researcher, and she's looking at, how shame affects people and how, what an impact it has on their lives. And I know one of the things she says is to be vulnerable, that kind of exposes the shame. And so, like for me in my life, I think, and even in church, we talk about confessing, telling people, this is what I've done, this is where I've come from. And that kind of shines the light on it. And then it's not this ugly, deep, dark secret. And I'm not saying you should go out and, air your laundry everywhere, but just recognize, take those things out that are causing you pain, that maybe are keeping you locked away, so that you don't feel the love and the joy and the peace that you're intended, that you were designed to feel. Maybe take those out and look at them and say, you know what, in a new light, a little kid who was abused or neglected or whatever, or this teenager who made these really stupid decisions, because we're all really stupid teenagers, those aren't who you are. And I hope that you'll do that. I hope that you'll look at those things so that you can be free, and you can recognize that even if you've made a million mistakes and you've made them a million times over, that doesn't mean it's who you are. Look at those things and learn from them, but don't let them define you. I did for a long time. I let those things define me, and it's so painful and it causes so much damage. Today I look at it and I say, man, I learned my most valuable lesson. I learned what is truly valuable in life from my worst mistake. And so, I think if you can glean the value there instead of making that this is who I am and living your life that way, it will set you free. And that's my hope and my prayer for you. Anyway, have an awesome day.